This 13th floor video session is powered by The Rock Shop. Hi, welcome to the 13th floor. I'm Marty Duda, and today we have Guy Wishart with us. Hi, Guy.
Hi,
nice
how are
of
you?
To stop up and
Thank you
play
very
a couple
much.
of tunes and tell us about your new record. The new album is called West by North.
That's right.
And by the sound of the title, it sounds like you're kind of a traveling guy. It has that feel about it.
It has a compass bearing.
Yeah.
I had an argument recently, not an argument, someone said, you know, the West by North, it's not a real...
It's not a thing.
It's not a real thing. And so I actually ended up having to show them on a phone. It just means the angle between west and northwest in nautical terms.
Right.
And for me, that's if you go down to Auckland Central, you go across the Waitemata, and you go as far as you can across the Waitemata, you end up at Kumu, which is where I live.
Oh, there you go. And speaking of where you live, you've also been living overseas for quite a while.
Yeah.
How long have you been back?
I've been back 3 and a bit years.
3 and a bit years.
Yeah.
And where were you before?
We were in India. My wife particularly really loves traveling, and she wanted to be able to. We'd been to India before, like for 6 weeks, and loved it so much that and we're both teachers, we've both got teaching credentials, and we decided, well, that way you could go to India, work and travel, because got the holidays and things. Right. And so we went to Bangalore, got a job at a new international school, and and it was quite a shock in a way. India is kind of shocking because it's kind of wonderful and has really difficult to deal with sides as well.
It seems very intimidating to me as a person who's never been there.
It's
full on.
I mean, in terms of photographs, it's the most incredible kind of place to go, because the history is immense, the culture is immense, the music is immense. You think there's a lot of kind of world kind of music where they use sitars and it's kind of cool, but that it really is not looked on in any good light by the classical musicians of India, who just think that's a load of rubbish, really. And you spend your years learning how to play properly, and then you do it. You don't tinker around with these things. Right. And but I loved living there, but it wasn't as easy as many places in the Far East, if you like or Southeast Asia, because we lived in Bangkok later as well, and that was a much easier deal. In India, the power would go off 8 times, 10 times a day, and so the generators would keep flicking on and off all the time. Right. And most of this wasn't because of possible problems with power. It was just that somebody was needing it more somewhere else. They were rationing it across the city. But it was, I think it's just levels of corruption all over the place that means that things just don't often get done properly. They do if you're willing to pay, and so you do get used to the fact that you pay for everything in one way or another, and you have to forget what you think you know about the way things work and find out the way they work somewhere else.
Now you mentioned music there, but were you doing your own music while you were over there?
I was writing, and not really performing very much. There were not a lot of venues to perform. There were sort of cool cafes and things, but there was no one doing the kind of music that I was doing. So it was really a writing kind of time for me.
So was it kind of a relief or a release to come back here and be able to perform your music again?
Well, it sort of built up a bit, didn't it? And so you were writing all these things, but having not particularly enough avenue. In Bangkok, there was more avenue. There were a lot of British bands and Americans and everybody in Bangkok, and so there was heaps of bars everywhere, and you could go down and play anywhere. All these soys all over town, all these bars, and the roof bars. So there's loads of places. So we did start playing there. But a lot of it ended up being what they wanted to hear was Irish music, and sort of the classic Brit songs. Gotcha. And so all the bands you ended up in were all wanting to emulate British, 90s pop or whatever, or modern kind of context. Gotcha. And you got to do a few songs of your own, but it was really set up for that.
And speaking of your own songs, you're going to perform a few for us today, and I want to talk more about you coming back here, but we'll break for a song. The first one I think we're going to hear is called Let Them Go.
Yep.
Yeah. And what can you tell me about that one before we hear it?
Well, I think over the course of my life, I've had to deal with the fact that I can't hold on to grudges. I can't hold on to the kind of bad energy, if you like, that comes from.
That's a good thing.
You know, it doesn't help to hold on to it. It actually makes you ill. It makes you less of a person as well. And it's something I've had to come to terms with, that I need to let things go, otherwise they'll eat me up.
Right.
And maybe the things done to me, maybe they're things that you know, I just don't like about you know, the way other people behave or whatever. But I've kind of got to get a little more mature about my attitude and move along.
All right.
So it's a bit like that.
Excellent. Well, let's give it a listen, and then we'll come back and talk some more.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See these scars under my skin, let them show, let them show. All the darkness we have seen, let them go, let them go, let them go. Let them go. Let them go. Let them go. There's a light above the waves, let them break, let them break. Tonight the earth, it opens up, let me fall, don't let me fall. Let them go. Let them go. Let them go. Let them go. Carve this message on this wall. Let them know. Let them know. When all's been said and done, let them go. 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 Let them go.
All right, we're back here with Guy Wishart, and we've just heard a song from his new album, West by North. And you were telling us about your adventures overseas and what it was like, but what was it like coming back to New Zealand after being away for so long?
Well, I was in a band called Cell on Recliner for most of the 2000s. I sort of wrote songs and then co-wrote with another singer called Belinda Bradley, and we formed a band to promote those songs, and we put out 2 albums in that time, in the 2000s. So really all of my energy in that stage was into that, and when I came back they were still finishing up their 3rd album, so I sort of got into that, and then that slowed down a little. I mean, they're so busy reforming because they're sort of kind of super people who run massive businesses and do things that I can't do, and so here was I sort of looking at going back to teaching to support my family, and they were getting on with, you know, building empires basically, and so they had limited amount of time, and I thought, oh, I've got all these songs, I still want to do something, and so I ended up going to a Saturday afternoon kind of music jam type thing, and from that we pulled in some of the musicians from that, and old friends that we played with for years, and started rehearsing the actual songs that may go on an album. And about a year ago, or maybe a bit less than a year ago, a good friend of mine, Derek Lind, went to Roundhead Studios and did what I'd never actually seen before, which is to record a whole album completely live, and pick the best versions of it. It had drums, it had Glenn Ross Campbell on slide on Wise and Born, it had me on guitar, him on guitar, bass, and the occasional backing vocal, and that was it. But you know, I thought, well, this is quite difficult to do. Could you really do that convincingly? And it turned out really, really well. It was a great album, and I still enjoy listening to it. It had a live kind of fresh feel that maybe you don't get from cleaning things up too much all the time and making them too perfect, which is probably what I was more used to. But saying that, it's still an extremely good way of making albums. It just takes a long time. I think in most albums that I'd done before that, I counted about 200 hours to make an album, and I didn't have enough time, and neither did any of my producer friends have enough time to virtually gift you that time anymore. You know, they're being underpaid for what they're really worth, and so we said, well, this is a way out of this. You go on for 2 days, you record the album, you walk out with a non-mastered, then you go back, do a couple more days and master it, and you're there. It's never, and so, but
so it's more of like a performance.
It's a performance, it's capturing a performance. And so you take the good and the bad, because every take, what's weird about it, sometimes I listen to it and say, I think I'm singing not quite as well as I could do there, but the fact is, for the rest of the band, that was their best take. So, that's the give and take. You couldn't go back and overdub anything, because everything was bleeding into each other. All the amps were sitting in one room, all bleeding into each other, so there was no way of saying, oh, we'll cut the slide off here and put something in there. It's what it was.
Well, that's the way they used to do it back in the old days. So
and they probably had kind of super, well, they did have super players, didn't they? But they still rehearsed it loads of times. When you look at the video, and like they were doing it 20 times or more, and I think our maximum was 5, and that was through 2 bad starts. So it ended up being kind of like average of 3 times played through. Okay,
well, we're going to hear another song, Cold Wet Ground, I believe it is. What can you tell me about that one?
I guess I'm encouraged, in my mind anyway, to write slightly more depressing songs about hardship and dealing with hardship than happy songs. I have written the occasional happy song, so I can do it, and I should do it again.
Cold Wet Ground sounds pretty depressing.
It sounds, like shallow grave, doesn't it, really? But anyway, it's really about a relationship that's kind of pear-shaped, and can you really pull it back together again? And I guess I've been through a pretty hard period over the last few years with members of my own family, my daughter having chronic pain and injury, and a whole lot of things going on in our lives that haven't been the norm for us up until then, which have been a lot more wearing and tiring, and I guess they've induced these kind of songs as well, which are more about endurance than anything else.
All right, well, let's give it a listen, and we'll come back and
Okay.
one more time.
Honey, won't you pin me down, darling, on the cold wet ground? Tell me what we wanted, dreams so sharply altered. Baby, won't you pin me down, pin me down, pin me down, pin me down. Tell me why the bruise don't show. How were we supposed to know? All those things had wounded, terrorized and broke us. Tell us why the bruise don't show. Bruise don't show. Bruise don't show. Bruise don't show.
All right, we're back one more time with Guy Wishart. We were just talking, you have some shows coming up.
Yep.
Are they solo? Do you perform on your own? Are you touring with a band?
Well, kind of a mixture, really. We're off to Dunedin and Oamaru this week,
right,
and appearing on Access Radio, then playing the new Edinburgh Folk Club down in Dunedin. I haven't been to that club before.
Right.
And then on Access Radio, and then up to Oamaru to play at Donna Demente's gallery. We've also got family up there, so it's sort of, our bass player has never been to the South Island, that part of the South Island, and was very keen to go. So that is actually myself, Derek Lind,
right,
Andrew, who's going to be with us, Andrew Horst, and Glenn Ross Campbell is going to be there
cool.
playing Weisenborn. So we're taking the team down.
Excellent.
And I hate being called team, but anyway, we're taking the
Sounds
group
very corporate,
down.
doesn't
It does sound terribly corporate and you know, diminishing in some way. But anyway, yeah, so we're doing that, and then we've got a few Corellis in Auckland coming up later. Jesse Mulligan, you know, that's a great show to go on,
right,
and doing sort of that live performance he does on Friday afternoons. Right. And then playing with Donna Dean and Caitlin Smith. And Derek again at the Wine Cellar coming up later after that.
End of July, isn't it?
Yep. And also back in Hamilton. We've played already in Hamilton at the Meteor, really great venue in Hamilton, the theatre, and going back to the Navara Lounge in Hamilton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So well, I'm curious as to, how the music business, how you look at it now, because you were very involved. You won the Silver Scroll back in 1990. You were away. Now you've come back. It's 25 years later, even though you were away for 25 years. But are you finding it quite a bit different than it used to be?
It is. It's completely different. And so social media is super important. You know, and it's something that I'm kind of grappling with. It's if you grow up with it as a native, it's kind of easier.
It
sort of seems more fluid.
I'm still completely befuddled by why I need to like stuff and what that does. Yeah. But apparently, it's very important.
Apparently, and so you still do what you do. It's continuing the journey for people like myself and Derek. And other colleagues from my era who are more sort of 80s, 90s singer-songwriters who are still going now. Yeah. And you still feel like, oh, okay, your songs are still good. They're still able, you know, they should still be out there. But it's different because the way it worked then is not the same as now. It's probably better now in many ways. It's easier to contact your friends and colleagues and build up, you know, Facebook friends and all these little places all over the place, or Instagrams or whatever, and that is probably helping people tour immensely, having event pages and the way that you can communicate so much more easily than it used to be.
It's and another tool, I guess.
It's another tool, how to use it. And it also means it's sort of, you know, what I love at the moment is that there's a lot of acoustic players coming through. So there's been quite a resurgence in that. Going to music stores, they sort of say they're selling, I don't know, 10 times more little acoustic guitars like Ed Sheeran's than they are electric guitars at the moment. So sort of rock is out at the rock shops, and it's still there, but you know, there is a resurgence into this sort of folk or country sort of area at the moment.
All right, well, we're going to hear one more song from you before we let you go. It's called When You Were Young. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, it's a song for my daughter. She fell off a horse a couple of years ago, and she is very positive, kind of energetic girl, but that fall, the horse rolled on her horse patch, and it caused a nerve injury in her back that has produced some of this chronic pain. Right. Later on after that, the horse, she fell off the horse while still having her foot in the stirrup, and the horse actually managed to crush her jaw as well. So she had big break here, big break there. We've got an amazing surgeon at Middlemore, Cameron Lewis, who put it all back together with titanium pieces of metal, and did a beautiful job. So you can hardly see anything, but all these things have led to a chronic pain situation, and it kind of diminishes the forward momentum, you know, of someone's life. It makes it tough. Yeah. And so this song is kind of reflecting back on her as a child and looking forward as to how difficult it is now and how just got to keep going.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming up.
Thank you.
I hope folks will check out West by North and see you guys when you're traveling around the country.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Here you come running, taller so it seems, with the biggest eyes we had ever seen. Now it seems you're hurting, tiring of the pace, tired of the struggle, pain upon your face, baby. Hold on to your dreams, baby. As hard as it might seem, when you were young, nothing else could hurt you. When you were young, nothing there could hold you. Maybe it's not easy, maybe not so clear, staring to the darkness, trying to see some light. But here you come running, taller so it seems, with the biggest eyes we had ever seen. Baby, hold on to those dreams. Baby, as hard as it might seem, when you were young, nothing else could hold you. When you were young, nothing else could hurt you. The scars on your skin are real, but you're enough just as you are. The lines on your skin is real, you're enough just as you are. Baby, hold on to your dreams. Baby, as hard as it might seem, when you were young, nothing seemed to hold you. When you were young, nothing seemed to hurt you.